For our audience, can you break down Gift City? Everybody is hearing Gift City, but not many people. Some people were saying that Modi ji want to do everything in Gujarat. Why not he is choosing Mumbai or Delhi or other cities? Because
let us understand is what it is trying to do. It is trying to develop a global financial hub in India. So that's the larger vision. Implementing this as India's first smart city. We have Standard Chartered, HSBC, Barclays.
wow, okay.
As you are operating from Dubai, Singapore or Mauritius. And that has now allowed several financial services institutions and players to set up their base in India and undertake the international financial services more freely.
Namaste and welcome to Global Desi Podcast. To celebrate the incredible journey of the 30 million global Indians settled outside India, we're here to shine a light on the extraordinary stories of people from all walks of life.
Namaste and warm welcome to Global Desi Podcast. Today we will be deep diving into one of the boldest and most ambitious project India has ever done, the Gift City, an idea of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which is now becoming a reality. India's first smart city and an international financial services center created to the rivals of Dubai, Singapore and London. To tell this story, we have got Dr. Dipesh Shah, who has lived and breathed this journey from its very inception. Dr. Shah, welcome to Global Desi Podcast.
Thank you.
Dr. Shah has 2 decades of experience in leadership across international business, leadership, corporate law, and financial services. Dr. Shah has been the forefront of building the Gift City as a place, not just as in India's smart city, but a global aspiration for future of India. So whether you are a professional looking or dreaming of a bigger opportunity, or a student who is deciding for your next future, or an NRI thinking about reconnecting with your root, this podcast is for you. So Dr. Shah, before we dive into the Gift City, can you walk us through your personal and career journey? How did you started your journey? Tell us more about your life. How did your career and personal journey started?
Sure. Thank you, Puneet, at the outset for having me on this podcast. I think it's a very popular thing that you are doing, and put that to disseminate the information to the larger audience. I think this is the best mechanism which you have adopted. As far as my personal journey is concerned, I'm born and brought up in Gujarat, particularly in the city of Ahmedabad, and did my chartered secretary from India and UK, and did my masters in international business from Ahmedabad. And post that, I started my career with the pharma company,
Right.
And was involved in 2 of the largest Indian pharmaceutical companies based out of Gujarat.
Right.
But my journey has always been with 2-3 years of experience in one company. I would choose to keep shifting myself. And my family was always like, when are you going to get settled? Why you keep shifting your profiles? And I always found that working for some company and promoter was not giving me the desired outcomes, which I always wanted to contribute towards. And when the opportunity of Gift City came in, it was, for me, it was like an uncharted territory which I was adopting.
Right.
I was in a very well-established pharmaceutical company. Suddenly I received a call from the Gift City management, the chairman of the Gift. So why don't you come for an interaction?
Right.
And that's how my journey started. And I thought contributing towards the state and probably indirectly working towards an India level project would probably give the right type of experience and exposure which I was looking at that moment of my career.
Right. So, if you look at 2008, when this was time of recession, worldwide recession. So the idea of something like such ambitious project must have sounded crazy to you. So how did you convince yourself to do something so ambitious at that stage? And you said that you're settled in a pharmaceutical companies and other job profiles. So this was a big shift for you as well. So how did you convince your mind to do something such a crazy and ambitious project of designing a city, a smart city?
I would say, at that stage of my career, when you wake up in the morning and you take up a newspaper in your hand and you see a headline saying that the chief minister of the state is planning to build a global financial hub.
Yeah.
That the statement really struck my eyes.
So
and my
Modi ji
mind.
was the chief minister
At that time,
just for our audience.
The Honorable Prime Minister was the Chief Minister of the state, and there was a headline in the newspaper which says that he wants to build a global financial hub. Now, at an early stage of a career, in a young career, when I read that line, I thought that this could be a great way to contribute towards the overall objective of the state and India.
Yeah.
And that at the first instance attracted me towards coming towards closer to this project and see if whether I can contribute towards this larger vision which the Honorable Chief Minister was at that time envisaging. That's how my association with the gift started. And little I was aware that, getting started in the gift, I was like initially 5-6 people got selected from by the chairman to see that whether this type of project can be implemented on the ground. And I happened to be a second such employee who got into this project. But as you rightly said, I think the journey was very uncharted. A lot of credit to the family to allow me to shift from a very reputed private sector company to a public sector undertaking where the future was a little bit uncertain because you never know
if it will work
at
or
that
not.
state level project will work or not.
Really inspiring, Dr. Shah. I mean, so what was when you came on board? So you said there are 4 or 5 people who came on board. So what was in your mind? What was the vision you imagined? Now it's like 12, how many years? 16 years now. So it's same time as I came to UK. I came in UK in 2008-9. So what was your dream or vision when you came on board that how the city would look like? So what was take us to the journey? What was going on in your mind and did you meet Prime Minister Modi during those conversations?
Yeah, as I said, as the Chief Minister of the state. So obviously he used to take a lot of reviews on a regular basis. But as you rightly said, for the story for your audience, and probably many of them might have heard this, but many of them would love to understand as to how this got conceived. The gift city got conceived with a problem statement. The problem statement was, if you wanted to do India international business, you were sent to Dubai, Singapore, Mauritius, and you were told that doing business from that into India is more easy, efficient, and tax competitive. And that's why most of the consultants during that time were sending people and businesses outside to do India business. Now, this all started with as I said, with the vision and the thought process of the Honorable Chief Minister, that he visualized that during his visit to Singapore, he met several professionals. In fact, he met 15-16 professionals in financial services. Out of that, 12-13 were Indians. And on those 13, 8-10 were Gujaratis in financial services working in Singapore. So he asked them, what you are doing in Singapore? And most of them said, sir, we do India business sitting in Singapore. Now, this was probably a problem statement that, he visualized that why one has to be outside India to do India international business. And why can't we create a regulatory and probably a physical infrastructure within Indian ecosystem where you can actually bring this entire business. So this was the time that when he heard this problem statement, he decided that, look, let us make an attempt of creating a project which will probably try and implement infrastructure-wise, regulation-wise, a structure which helps people to do India international business more efficiently sitting in India. And that's how the GIFT City on the first place got, as a concept, got into an implementation mode.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. Modi ji is quite visionary and he tried to encapsulate ideas and then implement it, So for our audience, can you break down GIFT City? Everybody is hearing GIFT City, but not many people, because this podcast is targeted at Indian diaspora, people settled in UK, USA and Canada, wherever they are Indian diaspora. So how would you define GIFT City? I understand from our conversation that it's to improve ease of doing business and also to challenge what have been done in Singapore, London, and Dubai. Why can't we do something in India itself? So can you just elaborate in more detail what Gift City is?
Yeah, sure. I think if one has to understand GIFT, let us understand is what it is trying to implement. It is
Right.
trying to develop a global financial hub in India.
Okay.
So that's the larger vision which is getting implemented in this board. Now, to implement a global financial hub, you have two ways to do it. One is that the whole of India can be converted as a full capital
Right.
account convertible, and you can do this freely in
Right.
any parts of India. Unfortunately, I think the way the Indian ecosystem today operates, we don't have a full capital account convertibility.
Exactly.
So you needed a location which is within India, but can be declared as an offshore zone within India.
Okay.
Now, this is a very unique positioning that if I have to change whole of India, it would have taken say next 20, 30 years to wait for the international financial services to come up freely in India. So what government of India and what the Honorable Prime Minister vision at that time was that we should not wait for the whole of India to get converted into a full capital account convertibility. Why can't we create a structure within India? And probably because his mandate was Gujarat at that time.
Yeah.
He said that let us, he was willing to take that risk, which probably many of the political leaders would have thought twice before taking such a large scale risk of implementing this scale and size of project. But he was known for taking risk, and probably he really took this on his shoulder that I should contribute towards making India a global financial hub. So for the larger audience, I think what India is trying to do for Gift City is it is implementing India's first global financial hub, which will connect India with all the global financial markets across and would help India undertake international financial services more efficiently. So I would look at GIFT in two parts.
Yeah.
One is you can't set up a project on an isolated ground. So what you needed was probably a planned city in which you are planning a global financial center, which as per our research, and that time we did study several examples, like we studied Pudong, we studied Tokyo, we studied New York, Manhattan, and what came out was that everywhere the financial centers evolved, and the problem statement that they were facing was that there were not much of the residentials and other ecosystem near the financial center. So people were commuting almost 1.5 hours one way to come to the financial center to work.
Yeah.
So we got an idea of implementing this as India's first smart city and a fully integrated infrastructure development project, which
For the families of people who will work
Yes.
and live there. Yeah.
so it got implemented as a project which will have commercial, residential, social facilities all in one. An idea was walk to work, that you are working there, you are living there, and all your social facilities are part of the ecosystem. Now that really made a lot of difference because we saw experience of other financial centers and they were not very encouraging. Over a period of time when they were fully developed, people faced a lot of problems to enter that center and come out of the center. So from that perspective, I think GIFT was quite unique.
Right. So one is that to create a smart city where the people who will be working there can reside there and can walk to work. So that's one part. And let's proceed to the second.
Yeah, the other part is the international financial services. Now this is unique, and Puneet, I'm sure your viewers will love a small story here. That when we were naming this project, we were all in the room writing down some name about the project. And the Honorable Chief Minister enters the room, and my chairman, Sri Sudhir Mankar, used to tell me this story every time when we were all sitting together. And he said that, look, he enters the room and he says that, I'll call this as a gift. You figure out the full form. And that's how we...
So you got the abbreviation first?
And then we are probably the only project in the world
Interesting.
that you got the short form first, and then you have to figure out the full form. And what came out was Gujarat International Finance as a name. That we
Gujarat
could International Finance. But we were struggling with T.
Tea, okay.
because we thought that tea was not gelling into the name. So there was one more attempt to go to the Honorable Chief Minister and say, "Sir, the name that you have given gift as an acronym is excellent, but somehow we are not getting the tea placed in this." And he says that, look, in future finance will not be able to operate without technology.
Oh,
so fintech,
yes.
which
Okay.
today the world talks about.
So tea is
was-
Modi's contribution.
So entire gift is Modi's contribution. So the name game was Gujarat International Finance Tech City,
Right.
and probably that's how today it is dedicated center and city which is catering only to financial and technology firms. So there's no manufacturing in the entire city. There's no polluted activities around the city. It is all based on the finance and technology.
That's very interesting, Dr. Dipesh Shah. How Modi ji has given this name and then you started filling in. And that suits very well, Gujarat International Financial and Technology. So, if we deep dive more into GIFT, what I understand from my research is that the SEBI and the share market rules and the RBI guidelines are not adhered in GIFT City. Can you elaborate? How is it different? You said it's in another economic zone out within India, but it's Indian laws. Some Indian laws are not applicable. So can you expand on that?
Sure. I think the way, as I mentioned, that because India is not having a full capital account convertibility, so what was done was to carve out the zone and declare it as an offshore center within onshore India, which means the center is outside of FEMA.
Right.
The Foreign Exchange
Exchange
Management Law of
yeah.
India
Will not be
considers
applicable.
that any entity set up in that zone center is basically a non-resident entity
Right.
under the FEMA.
Yeah, so you're talking about the FEMA regulations are not applicable in GIFT City.
Yes, that's right. So what I was trying to convey to the viewers that how IFFC got created as a different zone. Because in India the currency is not convertible, the IFFC got created as an offshore zone known as International Financial Services Center. And this under the Foreign Exchange Law of India is been declared as a non-resident zone, which means that we can implement the international financial services business through the units operating there on a similar principle as you are operating from Dubai, Singapore or Mauritius.
Right.
And that has now allowed several financial services institutions and players to set up their base in GIFT and undertake the international financial services more freely. So for the viewers, I think many of you are aware that, see, you want to do international dollar business. When you land into India, they often find that the landscape of India also comes with a lot of regulations. And many times they don't want to deal with the domestic Indian law.
Right. Because every state has their own laws.
Different laws, and you don't actually require registrations on those laws. So
Right.
what IFNA offers is probably a soft landing
Okay.
to a business which comes into GIFT. It is soft landed into the regulation created as an international financial services center zone,
Yeah.
and thereby able to serve India in dollar, but not required to comply with the domestic law of India.
Right.
That is how I would say the viewers would consider GIFT as a more international financial services or business zone where you can serve India with dollar and you can serve the rest of the world with dollar business from GIFT.
Right. For Indian diaspora, why would they care? So someone, an entrepreneur or a professional who is living in UK and USA or Canada or any other country. So what's in for them in GIFT City? So I've heard about those 10 years of tax relief. Can you expand on that? And what else can the entrepreneurs, the budding entrepreneurs in the UK ecosystem or American ecosystem can do? And you said that we can open in dollar. Can we open in pounds as well? British pounds
Yes.
as well? Okay.
Yes. So I think from a non-resident perspective, there are two things they can do. One is that they can set up their own fintech firm, or
Right.
they can set up their own financial services entity in GIFT,
Okay.
which in turn will do international business with India,
Right.
or it can serve the global market sitting in GIFT.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
the advantage for them is when you set up as an entity, the business profits that the entity earns, out of 15, 10 years, there is no tax on the business profits that you
Okay,
earn.
let's dive into more into that. For example, I've opened a bank. For example, have you got any UK bank opened up? In
Yes, we have Standard Chartered, HSBC, Barclays.
Wow. Okay. Great. So, for example, HSBC started, for example, in 2020. So, for next 15 years, any 10 years, they can choose where they won't be taxed.
Yes.
That's a great advantage. I mean, I've never heard. I mean, it must be a big surprise for many of the diaspora community that you operate for 10 years without paying any tax to Indian government.
That's right.
Are you sure?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is in line with what is happening in the other financial sectors.
Right,
So,
okay.
what was done
So
was
that's a big competitive advantage.
That's right.
Right.
See, this businesses were anyway being going out.
Hmm.
By bringing them here,
Right.
you were anyway not getting tax when they were going out in Dubai to operate.
Exactly. Okay.
So what government very wisely did was that they brought this business back into GIFT. They're creating more jobs in India now instead
Yes.
of creating jobs outside.
So for any startup who are in UK, so you can start your company in Gift City and you don't have to pay tax for next 10 years. That's a big incentive, I must say. So Dr. Shah, you've been traveling globally to Singapore, Dubai, London. So what are some of the things which you think Gift City is already matching these big cities? What are some of the new development which you think is still matching with those big giants?
Sure. So when you look at this global financial centers outside, what they are all based on is three areas. One is the regulation. So IFFC in GIFT now also provides a similar regulation. So that's a matching of the regulation whether you operate from Singapore or in GIFT, you will find the regulation talking in the same language.
Right.
Two, the tax is very competitive.
Uh-huh.
So when you do international business sitting in those centers,
Right.
the tax regime is very competitive. And in GIFT also the tax competitive advantage has been provided. And third, which is the most important factor from an Indian perspective, is the cost of operations.
Okay.
When you come into GIFT, the rentals are like $1 per square feet per month, in which you can open your office and operate.
Wow.
And you can think of, compare this cost with any cost globally.
Singapore.
It is like 1/10 of the cost in which you operate.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And plus the availability of Indian talent at a very competitive cost add to that. So
Right.
all these factors are making GIFT as a more preferred destination now.
Right, that makes sense. So, for example, I'm just taking an example of a startup. When a British citizen like myself, I want to open a company. So, is there a special visa category you're thinking of, or is it like UK has an entrepreneur visa for people who want to open a business here? So, have government thought about that? Have having any special visa category for opening companies in GIFT?
So right now, what the government is allowed is a Britain resident wants to open a company in GIFT. It can be 100% owned by him.
Right.
As an it will be registered under the Indian Companies Act, incorporated in GIFT, with an ownership of completely of him,
Right.
sitting in London itself.
Oh, you don't have to move there.
So he can form a company there,
Right.
and then he can employ people there. Now in employing also, the government has removed the restrictions that you need local directors.
Yeah.
So you can actually bring in people from outside who can be a director on the board of that company and
Okay.
run a company also.
Interesting. So now let's dive into some of the challenges, and some criticism. So I've been just researching about Gift City online. What are people's views? Mostly it's positive, but some people were saying that Modi ji want to do everything in Gujarat. Why not he has chosen Mumbai or Delhi or other cities? Because he promotes Gujarat a lot on global platform. So this is one of the criticism I found, and the other criticism. What are the other challenges you think of for the Gift City in last 16 years?
I think let me give the right facts on what you just said. That because the mandate at that time of the Honorable Chief Minister was the state of Gujarat, he took this initiative for his state.
Right. Okay.
It is as simple as that.
Okay.
Any other chief minister
Would have
of
done
any
that in
state
their
would have
state.
done the same
Right.
and created a gift city as a project. But you need that type of forward thinking. You need that type of a vision to implement the project and of scale and size of gift is concerned. That is one. Two, I think when this was applied, to get the status of an international financial services center way back in 2011. That time it was not the current government in Delhi. It was in the previous government that the approval was granted to set up the International Financial Services Center. So you can't look it, because many people factually have not seen, and then as I am there since 2008, I can factually tell you that 2011 when we applied for license, it was a different government, but still the license was granted subject to the RBI, SEBI and IRDA. So it's probably not correct to say that why is only doing for Gujarat. Probably he visualized this for India, and he, being the Chief Minister of the state, he implemented in the state of Gujarat.
I hope that would shut most of the critics about why in Gujarat. So tell us about some of the challenges which Gift City is currently facing and how you're tackling those challenges.
Yeah, so before I come to challenges, I'll just answer your previous question on the opportunities for diaspora or the non-resident Indian, as you asked me. So for an example, as Puneet, you are a non-resident Indian staying in, say, Scotland. Now, you know that for next 25 years, India is going to grow very exponentially. And there's a huge opportunity to earn money by investing in India. But the challenge is that, whenever you, earlier times, whenever you wanted to invest, somebody would have given you, whole set of documents to sign off, and then you said, I don't really understand what I'm signing. So you were cut off. That I don't want to sign something which I don't understand. Now Gift is changing that entirely. So what happens is that you as a individual can open your bank account online with the bank sitting in Gift, which are based in Gift. So for you, your documents does not travel. You just online click and open your bank account with the Gift City. Your bank account, whatever the interest you earn in Gift, is also tax free.
Oh,
you.
Great.
So you don't need to pay any tax in India on the interest that you earn on the deposits you placed in Gift City. And to added advantage to you is that you can use that account also for your business. Now you want to make payments, you want to run it as your current account, as a business account, you can still be in Scotland. Your business account can still be maintained in Gift, and that account can operate for you as a global
That's
operation.
very interesting. That's very interesting. Very lucrative option for diaspora community.
Yeah. So that is one is the bank deposits. The second, I would say that investment into stock market.
Right.
And this is, I think, a common area which most of the NRIs look at. So what in Gift we have created now is a structure that there are fund of funds, or there are fund registered in Gift, where you as a non-resident, when you invest in that fund, which in turn is investing into a mutual fund in India, then there is no short-term capital gain tax, there is no long-term capital gain tax, there is no tax which is paid there when you exit that mutual fund. So your exit from the mutual fund will also take an exit from India, and the money will come back to you in dollar terms to you. Also, your dollar does not get converted into rupees. So dollar or
you invest
pound,
in dollar, or you get in dollar. You invest in pound and you get in pound. That's and what sort of rate of interest can we expect? Just a average idea.
I think it keeps fluctuating globally. But I have personally, and this was probably at some time back when we were on call with an US-based firm, which is operating in Bangalore, and we were talking about the banking operations. He said, I already know that there is an Indian bank in Gift, which is an offshore bank in Gift. They offered me the rate of interest, which was 5.5% on the deposits, versus 3.5% offered in US by some of the renowned banks in US. And that was a delta, like almost 2% higher delta was offered and obtained. But obviously, as I said, these data points are more, fluctuating,
keep changing
based on the market dynamics.
And at this time, the global crisis is going on. So, Dr. Shah, we're coming to the end of the podcast. So, one last question. When you close your eyes and imagine 2030, how would you like to see the new India, the new Gift City? How would it be like? Because I have interviewed Indian economist Sanjeev Sandhya previously, and he said that India would soon become the third largest economy. So what is your personal vision when you close your eyes and see your project maturing from an idea from inception to a smart city. Now, how would Gift City fit into the Viksit Bharat, which is one of the Prime Minister Modi's call for India? So, how would that Gift City fit into the new India?
I think it's a very good question that you asked. Today there are 1,000 companies with 30,000 people operating in gift. And if we close our eyes, as you said, and say this is 2030, suddenly you open your eyes. I think what we would visualize is that there would be almost 200 to 300,000 people working in gift city.
Wow.
You will have more than maybe 4 or 5,000 companies operating there. And most importantly, this will become a Ghar Wapsi movement for a lot of diaspora.
That's for a community.
Because globally, the way today the global scenarios are, I think our own financial professionals and people like you who have gone across the world would have an opportunity in India and particularly in Gift City, that your expertise would be used in this center, not only for India business but also for global business.
businesses.
And with a simple offering you a platform in your home country, rather than you've been required to operate from the global markets, you will be able to be in India and operate globally. So I would say 2030 you will see the Gift City scaling the full scale operations with almost 50 plus buildings. At that time the skyline will be very different than today. Even today when you enter Gift City, 27 buildings are forming the skyline. But there are 30 buildings which are already under constructions to be delivered for next 3 to 5 years. So the skyline will be like 50, 60 buildings giving you different flavor of commercial, residential and social facilities. And probably it will be a thriving city and a thriving center to go to. And from there on, probably we should visualize that by 2047, as India becomes fully developed, GIFT will play a major role in towards making it as a global financial hub.
Thank you. That's amazing. Telling us the story behind the scene and how Gift City will contribute to developed India. So there's one fun segment of our podcast where we ask some rapid fire questions to our guests. So you'll just get 10 seconds to think and answer. Okay. So first thing you do when you visit London?
Take out my tea bags.
You don't like English teas?
I like masala tea.
Okay. So, if you could invite 3 people, dead or alive, who to come and settle in Gift City, they can be dead people or just alive people. Who will be the 3 people you'll invite to?
I think this is a tough one, but I would say one, Indian diaspora for sure.
Yeah.
I will invite them to be part of the ecosystem. 2, I would say some of the big financial wizards of India should have their main base in Gift City.
Right.
And 3, probably if we really aim towards making it of that scale and size, then why not some of the largest financial conglomerates operating as their headquarters into Gift City. So this is how I would look at from the Gift City perspective.
Perfect. So one Gujarati snack you can't live without.
Dokla.
Thank you. So one last question. What is one myth you want to burst about Gift City? A lot of people think of Gift City. What is the one myth you want to? I don't want to say put words into your mouth, but one of the myth you want to burst about Gift City.
I would say it's a reality.
Okay.
It's happening on ground, and nobody can probably take it away from India, because India has really put a lot of efforts, a lot of planning behind developing this. So I would say the myth was whether GIFT will happen or not happen. Will it see the light of the day? I would say it's a reality now. Nobody can ignore.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. I wish Gift City all the best. Thank you for coming to our podcast. Thank you.